Hey everyone, welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Saturday, so here I am again, your host, Sword Sage. So, looks like we can't get away with talking about politics because of what's been going on and because of the shenanigans of our current president elect. But going at this from a different angle and to talk about something a bit different, let's talk about one of the slogans, or let's say the main slogan that he was known for when he became, when he was campaigning to become president, which was to make America great. Ginger ale. Don't get any ideas. So, what made America great to begin with? People are going to come up with different answers. But you usually hear things like our democracy, our military might, our core values, or some other patriotic sounding reason. If you had asked me, though, I'd say that one of the key factors was education. There was a time when American education in this country was quite good, like really good. And thanks to robust science, mathematics, and technology programs, great strides were made in various fields. Chief among them, the American space program and NASA itself. Philosophical discussion was also vibrant for a time, and in general, the average American citizen seemed fairly well read. Sure, you're going to find ignorant fools in America in just about any year in American history. I mean, you can't get rid of stupidity, but by and large, there was a time when it seemed that overall there was a certain level of sophistication that was worthy of a mighty democratic republic. And this is generally why people look back on the 50s so fondly, because that really seemed to be a flowering of that sort of thing. But it wasn't just limited to the 50s. I mean, you tended to see this type of sophistication in earlier years as well. Let me put it another way. When you see a joke referencing Methuselah in a Looney Tunes cartoon, something that's supposed to appeal to a low type of humor, and the people who made that cartoon expected the audience to actually get that joke, that says something. Especially since nowadays, I don't even think you know any people who know who the hell Methuselah is, including Bible thumpers. Because that's the issue, isn't it? People don't seem all that smart nowadays, and it isn't just a perception. If you look at the world like any world ranking system in regards to education and the overall intelligence of a nation's population, you'll easily find that the U.S. doesn't rate first, second, fifth, or even eighth. Hell, we're not even in the top 10. Forget that. In some lists, we're not even in the top 20. There's always been this open secret, the rest of the world seems to realize that, the average American is an idiot. But I don't think Americans really understand just how true that is. I mean, it's something that I've noticed firsthand talking to people from other countries and their amusement and sometimes straight up shock at the level of intelligence in this country. Hell, as Aaron Ra laments in a talk he had in Vancouver back in 2015, the stupidity of Americans is an open joke around the world. To the point where people will engage in such joking right in front of Americans. Sometimes straight at Americans. Now, when you combine this with other countries' rankings in education and literacy around the world, this becomes even more striking. Many of the nations we're seeing with growing economies and an increasing world standing are ranked higher on the list than we are. You know what one of those countries? China. I mentioned China because I remember, for the past few years, there's been a whole lot of hand-wringing and, fear-mongering about China. How the reason why they were growing in economic power was because they were, undermining our own economy, or because they were buying up so much of our debt, they'd own our future, or, they're flooding us with their exports, and they're manipulating the value of the yuan, their currency, to hamper our own economy and so on, and, they're beginning to push their military might in other areas that's unseemly, things like that. But one thing that these fearmongers never bothered to mention was how well their education system was doing. And if you look it up, it's doing quite well, actually. Like, for instance, in Hong Kong, at least, They're way above us in science literacy, reading literacy, mathematic literacy, and just overall student performance. Anyone paying attention is going to notice that it's not just their economy rising. Though, if I'm going to be fair, they're not doing that great these days. Like the yuan is suffering a bit, and they're trying to, fix that. So it's not all sunshine and roses, but at least their level of sophistication is growing. Like from their technology, their living standards, the rising technological companies going on over there. I think there's a link going on between that and their education system, and the fact that they actually value education. So, why are we doing so badly, intelligence and education wise? Well, some people are going to point to the lack of funding in our education system, or how our system is like grossly outdated because it's based off of a model that came about during the dawn of the industrial, revolution, when basically we were, gearing people for factory work. Other people are going to point to the over-reliance on a standardized testing system, or the overcrowding of classrooms and the amount of extra work they're putting on teachers to handle them. I think those are decent observations to make. But I'm also going to add that a big factor in this downfall of our system is pretty much just the way we've completely undermined it. Particularly the undermining of our education system by unscrupulous individuals who care more about indoctrinating future generations for the purposes of votes and the retention of their power than by having a generation of people who are better prepared for an ever-changing and developing world. If you look at what's been going on in states like Texas, for example, you're going to see an appalling attack on proper education there, where political and religious ideology trumps critical thinking and fact-based learning curriculums. GOP-led school programs blatantly push a storied version of American history where no past negative actions or moral quandaries are discussed or acknowledged at all. Scientific programs have become jokes, with creationism being taught as a viable theory, if not more so, than evolution. In 2015, no, sorry, I'm wrong about that. 2012, gotta get my notes right. The Texas GOP went so far as to state that they didn't even want critical thinking skills to be taught in class, instead favoring, and I quote, school subjects with emphasis on the Judeo-Christian principles upon which America was founded. Now that statement in itself is based on an ignorant view of American history. Because if you do any studying of it, you'll know that such principles were not what America was founded on. But the fact that I got to state that, and that people would inevitably argue with me on that point, goes to show just how far down we've gotten when it comes to our own education. Americans don't even properly know their own history anymore, much less have any real understanding in science, economics, political history, philosophy, or any other important field of human knowledge that helps to advance a nation. Worse, they then attack the few people left in the country who actually have some knowledge in those fields. Claiming that they're part of some leftist conspiracy, or though they're the experts you're not supposed to trust. Yeah. The damage from this is far and wide in this country, and it's going to continue to have an impact on our future. Very negative impact. So, when people talk about how America's lost its greatness, and they usually blame things like immigrants or feminists or minorities who won't shut up or whatever excuse they come up with, they tend not to realize that the decline was initiated by charlatans that they've trusted. People who've put their own twisted ideology and lust for power over the future of this nation. If Americans really want America to be great again, they're going to have to face some hard truths about the things that they believe in. Realize how much they actually don't know, and then set about trying to fix a system that was supposed to be designed to make them the intelligent, sophisticated, and thinking citizens that a thriving republic needs, and that they themselves deserve to be. I, for one, really hope that this revelation comes sooner and not later. Because quite frankly, we're way past the time when we need to do something about it. Time will tell. Catch you guys later.